Hello everyone, it's me Karan Thawani. Welcome to my YouTube channel Embedded Easy. I'm back with my new video on programming guide for serial peripheral interface, that is SPI. Uh, One request to the people who don't have the knowledge about the SPI protocol. I request them to watch my previous video. That video will guide them about what SPI protocol is, what is clock polarity and clock phase in the SPI protocol, and what are the hardware pins related to the SPI protocol. Because this video is on a programming guide for serial peripheral interface. That means this video will guide you about what things a programmer need to take care when he is dealing with the SPI protocol. So let's start this video. In my previous video, I have explained the pins of the SPI protocol. I will brief you about that part again. This is the SPI clock. It is important to note that SPI is a master-slave communication. That means master can only initiate the communication. This is the SPI clock, and master can only drive the SPI clock, and all the data transition on the SPI MOSI and SPI MISO pin takes place with reference to this SPI clock. This is the SPI master output slave input pin. That means master will send data on this pin, and that data will received by the slave. And this is the SPI MISO pin. That means slave will put data, or slave will send the data on this pin, and master will receive data on the same pin. At last, this is the chip select pin. A high to low transition is required on this pin in order to communicate with her device which is supporting SPI protocol. Now you must be wondering about, there are two devices, a master and slave. So we have to configure the clock polarity and clock phase of master or of the slave device. So to get the answer of this question, first we will look about what a slave device is. Now, a slave device may be a memory chip or a analog to digital converter IC. What I mean by memory chip is, it contains number of addresses, a fixed set of addresses, and on each address we can store the data. So nowadays many memory ICs are coming with SPI protocol. That means we can store the data, we can store our required data on that memory chip with the help of the SPI protocol. So by using SPI protocol, we can send data to this memory IC, and we can store our data in particular address, and whenever we want to access that data, then we can again communicate through SPI protocol, and we can take data from a particular address. That means we can write a data to a particular address, and we can read that data which we have written earlier. So this is the one of the application of the SPI protocol. Another one is analog to digital converter IC. Nowadays, so many analog to digital converters are analog to digital converter ICs are coming with SPI interface. That means this IC will convert our analog domain data. That means suppose there is a analog input voltage 0 to 5 volt. So this IC will convert this analog data into a digital domain, and on the SPI bus it will send data to the master device. So a master device can communicate with a analog to digital converter IC with SPI protocol, and master can indirectly get this analog values. Suppose you come to a situation where you don't have any analog pins in your master device. That means your master device does not support analog to digital converter. Or suppose you come to a situation where you are lacking with analog to digital converter pins in your master device. That means your master device analog to digital converter pins are full. You do not have sufficient pins for analog to digital converter. So in such cases you can get an analog to digital converter IC. So your analog interface will be with this analog to digital converter IC, and this IC or this slave device can communicate with master with SPI protocol. So by this way number of devices are coming with SPI protocol. So today I will guide you about what things a programmer need to take care when he is dealing with the SPI protocol. So let's move further. So, from our previous discussion, I hope you got the answer that in all the cases we have to configure the master devices, because these slave devices are ready, these slave devices are programmed by their manufacturer. So, in order to use these slave devices, that means in order to use that memory chip or analog to digital converter IC, we have to program our master, we have to configure our master according to the configuration of the slave, which is set by the manufacturer of the slave. By the configuration I mean the SPI clock and SPI polarity and the SPI frequency of the slave device. Now the second question is which parameters to configure in the master device. Now the answer to this question is there are three important parameters in the SPI communication. First is the clock frequency of the SPI. Higher the clock frequency means higher the data rate and you can transfer your data very fast. Then SPI clock polarity and SPI clock phase. So we have to configure only these three parameters in our master devices. Now, how to get the value of SPI clock polarity and phase? That means how you will figure out that on which mode we have to program our master device. That means whether our master device will have clock polarity as 0 or a clock polarity as 1, or our master device will have phase as 0 or phase as 1. So how you will get these parameters? This is very simple. We have to read the datasheet of the slave devices. We have to go through the timing diagrams which are given in the datasheet, and from that timing diagram we can extract the information regarding the phase and clock polarity of the master device. Now, things we have to extract from the datasheet of the slave device. Some manufacturer directly defines SPI mode in the datasheet. That means they will specify in the datasheet that the master needs to be configured in SPI mode 0 or SPI mode 1 or SPI mode 2 or SPI mode 3. These modes are directly specified in the datasheet of the slave device. So that become very easy from a programmer to configure its master device. On the other hand, some manufacturer defines the age on which slave samples the input data on the MOSI pin. MOSI pin means master output slave input pins. That means master will send the data on this pin and slave will sample the data on this pin. Now please, I request you to listen this carefully because this information is very useful in the SPI communication, because most of the devices comes and it is defined in the datasheet that the slave device or this device will sample the data on the rising edge or on the falling edge. So in the datasheet of the slave device, it is defined that the edge on which this slave device will sample the data on this MOSI pin. So now suppose in for example a slave device samples the data on the rising edge. As for now assume that this slave device samples the data on the rising edge of the clock. So now my question is whether the master has to put the data on the rising edge or on the falling edge. Now the correct answer is master has to put the data on the opposite edge on which the slave is sampling the data. For example, in this example, the slave is sampling the data on the rising edge. So slave is sampling the data on the rising edge. So compulsory master has to put the data on the falling edge, because both things cannot be done at the same time. For example, let's take an example that sounds so confusing, so we will go through the timing diagram to understand this concept very easily. Now let's see this timing diagram. This is the SPI clock. You can see that by default clock is at low level, so this refers to as clock polarity 0. Now you can see that the SI, this is master output slave input pin. So this is the output of the master. You can see that the output of the master is in advance. That means it is not in sync with the clock. The clock is delayed and this data is advanced. So this represents the SPI clock phase as 1. So from this diagram you can conclude that this timing diagram refers to a device whose clock polarity is 0 but clock phase is 1, because the data and clock both are not in sync with each other, they are phase shifted. So this refers to clock as 0 and phase as 1. Now our main point was, in this example the master is putting the data on the falling edge. So for that you have to assume that there must be a falling edge before this rising edge. Since the uh, clock and data both are not in the phase, so we have to assume that there must be a falling edge here. So you can see that the master is updating its data on the falling edge. Let's come to a data transition. Yes, you can clearly see that at here also the data transition takes place on the falling edge of the clock. You can see that here also the 1 to 0 transition, this transition is takes place on the falling edge. Now suppose the master puts the data on the falling edge. Now suppose slave also samples the data on the falling edge, then there are 90% chances that the slave scans or slave samples the same data, because at that time the data may be from this 1 to 0, the data may be at any stage between this value. So more chances are there that we can get the false data when when the master is putting the data on the falling edge, and if slave samples the data on the same edge. That means if the slave samples the data on the same edge on which the master has put the data, then there are more chances that the slave samples the wrong data. And of course the delay will also be there. The transmission delay will also be there, because data will not be available to the slave at the same instant when the master will put the data. There must be a delay in nanosecond when the data will be reached to the slave device. So it is advisable to a slave device that the slave device has to sample the data which should be opposite to the master. I hope it is clear to you. I just want to convey this message that suppose the slave is sampling the data on the rising edge, then master should not put the data on the rising edge. We have to configure our master in such a way that master puts its data on the falling edge, so that there are no chances of data loss. I hope it's clear to you. So that was too easy. So now we will go through a datasheet of a memory chip. We will try to understand the timing diagram from that datasheet, and we will try to figure out which mode that device is supporting. So let's go to the datasheet of the memory device. Yes. So this is a memory device and it supports SPI protocol. In my previous video, I have also taken the reference of the same data sheet, but for this video, I want to convey the message that which things you need to take care when you are programming a device which is supporting SPI protocol. So one important parameter which is easily available from the datasheet is the clock frequency. So this device supports clock frequency up to 40 megahertz, and this device also supports two modes of the SPI. SPI mode 0, in which clock polarity and clock phase both are 0, and this device also supports the SPI mode 3, that means clock polarity and clock phase both are 1. So before going further, I want to clear one thing that I have gone through the datasheet of this device, and I found some conflicts in the SPI mode which is given in the datasheet and the timing diagram which are given in the datasheet. Both do not match. So I request all of you to at least go through the timing diagrams before working on any application which is supporting SPI protocol. Do not assume that this information is correct. Go through the datasheet of the device, go through the timing diagrams, and from the timing diagrams try to figure out the clock polarity and clock phase of our device. So let's go to the timing diagram of this device. One very important information which is given here, that which you all have to look first when you are working with any SPI protocol, then the very first thing is the SPI clock, And the second thing is on which age this slave samples the data. So this information is given here. This pin is sampled on the rising edge of the clock and is ignored at other times. That means this device samples the data on the rising edge. So master has to put the data on the falling edge. So you have to configure your master device in such a way that it should put the data on the falling edge of the clock. So throughout the presentation, throughout this video, you have to remember this information that this device is sampling the data on the rising edge. So now we will go through the timing diagrams and I will show you where I have found conflicts in the timing diagrams. So we can take this as an example. For now, assume that this is a data phase of this device. So let's try to analyze this data. Just a minute. Okay, I'm all set for this. So this is the CS pin. As I have told you that a high to low transition is required on this pin in order to communicate with any device which is supporting SPI protocol. Now this is the SPI clock. You can see that in the rest condition, when there is no communication, the SPI clock is at 0 level. That means at low level. So that means that this device is supporting SPI clock as 0, clock equal to 0. So we have extracted our first important information that our master need to be configured as clock as 0. Now we will figure out the clock polarity, clock phase, sorry, clock polarity is 0, and now we will determine the clock phase. So this is clock polarity. Yes, this information is regarding the clock polarity. So this is the clock polarity. Now we will figure out the clock phase. So it is clear from the timing diagram that the clock and master output data, this is the SI pin. S means slave, I means input, slave input. So it indirectly represents the master output. So this is the MOSI pin. So this is the master output slave input MOSI pin, and the master output is not in sync with the clock. So we can conclude that it has clock phase as 1. So we have extracted both our major important information from this timing diagram, the clock polarity and clock phase. Now a very important thing which we have to ensure that the it is given in the datasheet is that this device is sampling the data on the rising edge. So that means the master data, this is the master output data. So master has to put the data on the falling edge. I have told you that you have to remember this information throughout this video. Slave is sampling data on the rising edge. That means master has to put or update the data on the falling edge of the clock. So now we will verify this sentence with our timing diagram. Slave is sampling data on the rising edge. This information was given in the datasheet of the slave device. Now we have to configure our master. So the master has to put or update the data. That means this data must be on the falling edge. So let's verify this. So suppose there must be a falling edge here. A falling edge must be here. So you can see that a high to low transition, that means master is updating its data on this falling edge. Now here is a falling edge, this is a falling edge, this is also a falling edge. Now this data transition is very important, that you can see that 0 to 1, at here the data is 0, and at this point master is updating its data from 0 to 1. Now let's see on which clock edge this data transition is takes place. So you can clearly see that this data transition is taking place on the falling edge, because here is the rising edge. No data transition on this rising edge. Here is also a rising edge. No data transition on this rising edge. So all the data transitions takes place on the rising edge for this example. Sorry, on the falling edge. All the data transmissions are taking place on the falling edge of the clock, because slave is sampling the data on the rising edge. So here is also, this edge is also important. Data is changing from 1 to 0. So you can see that master is changing its data on the falling edge. This is the falling edge. So on falling edge, master is changing its data from 0 to 1, here 1 to 0. So we have verified this with the timing diagram, that this device supports clock polarity as 0 and clock phase as 1. But in the datasheet this information is conflicting, because in the datasheet it is given that this device supports clock polarity as 0 and clock phase also 0. You can see this information here. Yes, but this is not there, and this information is not matching with the timing diagram. So always I suggest you to go through the timing diagram and get the correct polarity and phase information. Otherwise you will not be able to communicate with the slave device. Your slave device will not accept any data if you are configuring your master device in a mode which is not supported by the slave device. That means if your slave device supports SPI mode 1 and you are configuring your master as SPI mode 0, then slave will not accept any data from the master device. So I hope this information is clear to you, and this is very important. I am repeating this point one more time. So you just have to look at the age on which this slave device is sampling the data. For this example, this information was given correct in the datasheet, that this slave device samples the data on the rising edge. So you have to make sure that your master has to update the data on the opposite edge of this. Opposite of rising edge means on the falling edge. So from this timing diagram, it is clear that master is updating the data on the falling edge. Here data transition is on falling edge. Here 0 to 1. This is also on the falling edge because this is rising edge. Data is not updating here, data is updating here. So master is updating data on the falling edge so that slave can sense or sample that data on the rising edge. So this information is correct, and this device supports the SPI clock as 0 and SPI clock polarity as 0 and SPI clock phase as 1. So this is mode 1 of the SPI. That means this memory chip do not support SPI mode 0. This memory chip support SPI mode 1. I hope this is clear to you. We can go through 2 3 more timing diagrams so that you can have a better clarity regarding the timing diagram. Let's analyze a write sequence to this memory chip IC. That means let's analyze the timing diagram of the write sequence, that how we can write onto this memory chip. This is the read operation. This is the read operation. Yes, this is a memory write operation. So let's analyze this data. Okay. So this is the first thing, that chip select pin must be low when we are communicating with the device. So this is the SPI clock. You can confirm this here also, that the SPI clock is 0 in the rest state. So the clock polarity is 0, and you can also see that the data is updating on the falling edge. Here a falling edge is there, so you can clearly see that this data is updating on the falling edge. Let's go to where a 0 to 1 transition is there. Okay, here a 0 to 1 transition is here. So you can see that the data is updating on the falling edge. That means master is updating its data on the falling edge, and clock phase is 1. First we will write that clock phase. Clock phase is 1. Clock phase is 1 because the clock and data both are not in phase. They are out of phase with each other. Clock is delayed and data is advanced. Let's see one more data transition here. Here 1 to 0 transition is there, and you can see that this data is updating on the falling edge. So I hope this thing is clear to you from the data sheet of the slave device. So let's write this important sentence here. from the datasheet of the slave device, look for the age on which sorry look for the age on which slave samples the input data. Here rising age, and configure your master device. Configure your master device with opposite of this. That means falling is here. So your this purpose will fulfill indirectly when you will configure a correct polarity and correct phase. Here we have seen from the timing diagram that clock polarity is 0 and clock phase is 1. So you have to configure these two parameters in your master, and by default this thing will comply. This thing will comply automatically when you will do a correct polarity and correct phase. So here data of the master is updating on the falling edge. This is because clock phase is 1. So I hope this part is clear to you. This is the very important information which you have to take care when you are dealing with any device which is supporting SPI protocol. So thanks for watching this video. Stay healthy, stay safe.